Okay, Paul, the first question I have for you is, when did you first see professional wrestling?
When did I first see professional? When I lived in the States, when I was about 5 years old, I used to watch WWF. But I didn't really follow it at all, but I remember watching it. That was my first memory of professional wrestling.
Okay, what do you remember from that sort of time? What wrestlers were competing? Who were your favourites? That sort of thing.
Hulk Hogan, Junkyard Dog, I think Macho Man Randy Savage. Can't think of who else really. It was just that was when I first ever saw it, but I started watching it, a few years later when I moved back to England. And it's people like British Bulldog, obviously Bret Hart and Yokozuna, all those sorts of guys from that era, Jake the Snake. I watched some British stuff, and it was always Mark Rocco that was the one that stood out to me. And everybody obviously knows me. I'm quite a big Mark Rocco mark. He was the guy that I sort of was into from as far as the British guys went. But yeah, that was my first memories.
Okay, obviously you have quite a history of sport. You have a sporting background. Can you just tell us what sports you've done?
I obviously did all the sports at school, like football and stuff, and rugby and all that. I started off, I was actually a runner, 800 metres and 1500 metres. I was a lot smaller than I am now. I got to I ran for Great Britain, and I ran cross country as well. Got up to doing half marathons, and then when I went to university, I was basically at university to run, and I was training obviously pretty hard, and I was on about 90 miles a week, and I was doing track sessions, speed sessions, and I ended up basically getting a stress fracture, a tiny little bone in your foot called the navicular. So the stress fracture didn't heal. Eventually I ended up having surgery on it. Once I'd healed from that, I was just getting ready to sort of train through the winter, and a friend of mine asked me to come down to the local rugby club and play, and I'd never really played much rugby before. I played a bit at school, and went down, and by the next season, or by halfway through the season, I was playing for their first team, and then went from there, played another season at that club, and then I ended up going to a semi-professional club and playing there, and got to a pretty good standard. I was playing inside centre or wing. I was pretty fast, but then I started to really pack on size. And more I was getting in the gym, I got bigger and bigger. So I had gone from being quite a skinny guy to really bulking up, and got to the point with rugby though where I really was stopping enjoying it because it was taken so seriously. I don't really take too much seriously, and had obviously been following wrestling and just thought off the cuff, how do you sort of get into wrestling? What do you do? How do you get trained? And then found some schools and went from there. Just never played rugby again after that.
Okay, what made you decide you wanted to get into professional wrestling?
Look, anything I've sort of ever done where any sport I've always wanted to be the best I can. That's really cheesy, but like sort of get to a good standard. And I watched it, and I'd had a gymnastics background from when I was very young, because when I was very small, I wasn't particularly well behaved, and my mum sent me to gymnastics and tumbling classes so that I'd at least be able to fall over properly, because I was always fighting and jumping around. I was quite hyperactive, I think. Probably had ADHD, and we basically I could see all the stuff being done in wrestling, and I'd always been very agile, so I thought, how do you get involved in it? And basically went from there. I didn't have any martial arts background or anything like that, but it just from sort of a want to sort of be involved and start wrestling, I looked into doing it, and then just came along. And
From there you turned up at the Hammerlock, was it a weekend camp?
The Hammerlock weekend camp, yeah, I did. I just did a weekend there. Sorry.
I was just going to say, tell us a little bit about how it went and your first thoughts when turning up.
Yeah, well, when I first walked in, I walked into the dojo and I was like, wow, this is proper wrestling. There's a wrestling ring there, and everybody had wrestling boots and everything, and I was pretty blown away, like you are when you first do it. There were guys there training and stuff, and I really enjoyed the weekend, and I took to stuff quite well, and basically I wanted to sort of keep keep training. At that point, you don't have any sort of ambitions to do anything in wrestling. You just want to wrestle. You want to learn to wrestle. You watch the guys that obviously can do something, and you're pretty in awe of them. So I'd said to them, you know, what do you do? Do I just keep coming back? And they're like, yeah, there are bits. I was yeah. I was like, oh, okay, cheers. But they're good guys and everything. So on a Sunday, it was when they trained, but I had a job at the time working in a gym on a Sunday, so I couldn't directly get out of the job for a few months. I had to give some notice, so I was waiting to do that, so I couldn't obviously come straight back. And in the meantime, I had just was buying wrestling magazines, and I found an article on the FWA Academy, and basically looked into it, looked at the website, and they had a weekend camp coming up that weekend, and I contacted Mark Sloan by email or something and said, is there any spaces on the camp? And maybe, imagine if he'd have said, no, you can't come to the camp. He said, you know, just come along, and I came along and kept going from there, really. I think I took to it quite naturally, some of the stuff.
Okay, so from here you started to attend wrestling training regularly. What were your thoughts, and how did it compare, obviously, with other sports? What were your thoughts on the training side of wrestling?
It's actually I thought the training was quite intense. We get there. I quite quickly started going on a Sunday, going on a Wednesday. So twice a week you were in the ring. The Sunday sessions used to run from, I think they were 10 o'clock. I think, yeah, that was always a pain on Sunday morning. 10 o'clock till like 6 o'clock in the evening, and you were training that whole time. You had about an hour for lunch, but you were going at it pretty hard for that amount of time. And then on a Wednesday it was from 6 till 10 we were training, and you were being worked hard. I mean, I'd always trained hard, obviously, with athletics, and to an extent rugby, but not so much. But it was intense. It was pretty, you know, I was learning a lot. But I mean, I don't think I hardly was getting in the ring for the first couple of months. I was just on the mat, just learning how to work on the mat, how to work holds, and do all that sort of stuff. You get in the ring to bump and run the ropes and stuff, but you were pretty much learning on the mat, and it was hard because those first few months you're doing it, your body is a mess. You're aching, you're hurting. I'd always had a lot of problems with groin injuries, and they were all coming through from doing such a sort of different activity. But I mean, I found I was picking up stuff, but you look. I don't. People know I don't like looking at my own work. I look at some of that earlier stuff, and it's horrible. It's really bad. So yeah, I'd probably be classed as a good worker these days in the British scene with that work. But it was hard. But we all everybody that was there was in the same boat, so everybody sort of helping each other along. Some guys didn't last, and from that time I started training. There were people like Raj Ghosh already there. He'd maybe been there for a year. James Ty had been there for a year. You had loads of people, but few have kept with it and stuff. So I mean, obviously with anything like that, loads are going to fall by the wayside. But I always, from pretty much the start, I was sort of always I think because I took to stuff, Mark could see that, you know, I had some potential, so, you know, they worked with me a lot. You know, I was constantly trying to improve my stuff, and I knew myself I was going to stick with it. You know, I knew that I wasn't just going to sort of last sort of 6 months and go. I knew I was basically going to stick with wrestling. I don't think a lot of people probably go in with that idea. They want to go in and try it because I had a sport background, and I knew that obviously it's going to be hard, but you soon pick stuff up. I was willing to sort of keep going with it and keep you know, even though it wasn't always the easiest thing. You know, I had to sort of sacrifice my job really to do it, and you give up so much to do it. I mean, I couldn't. Excuse me, I've got an itchy nose. I couldn't have worked sort of gone and worked in the city or something like that, and, you know, been earning loads of money, because it would have meant I couldn't get down to training, and I couldn't come down on a Wednesday. You couldn't have come down every Sunday. You couldn't have gone to shows and stuff. At the time we were going to shows to do ring jobs. We weren't going to shows to wrestle. We were doing ring jobs. But I was willing to make that sacrifice because I was sure that it was going to pay off. I didn't think I'd get to WW or anything, but I thought, you know, it was going to definitely pay off, and I was willing to do it.
Okay, as you said, you trained with Raj Ghosh, Andy Simmons, James Ty, a lot of the emerging new wave of British wrestlers. How would you say that had an effect on your career? How did that shape you?
Did you say Andy Simmons? It was good. I mean, a lot of the stuff I do now, I mean, I'm lucky I had James to work with constantly. We was sort of, I think probably a lot of guys have a guy that they always worked with and they always did stuff with, and I was lucky I had James because we worked so well together, and we always meshed in the ring. We were a similar size and everything. I was a bit bigger. Yeah, we just seemed to want to work together a lot, and we just used to do hours and hours of mat wrestling, just constantly mat wrestling. I mean, I've never in a match shown what the stuff we were doing and stuff, and it's hopefully at some point I do, but it was good. We all bonded really well, and I didn't think I like when I was at college, I had really, I've still got really close friends and everything. I didn't know that within wrestling I'd get such close friends, and I really did. We all bonded really well, especially the guys that sort of stayed with it and everything. Because you're all in the same boat really. You're all like the divs at the show that are setting up the ring and everything, and no one wants to talk to you or anything. But we were just trainees, so it was, we all bonded really well. Raj I did a lot of training with, guys like Ian Logan that were there, they were training. We all used to travel together. We'd all ring, pick each other up, etc. We got on well. It was good.
Okay, how long into your training was it before you first appeared at his show?
My training started I think June 2001, and then debut was it August I think, or end of August or beginning of September 2002. So it was 15 months or something like that. I debuted a couple of weeks before as in a run-in on one of the main shows, and my debut was against Graham Hughes on the FWA Academy show in a nice match, and I botched my split leg and then was never able to do it after that. But yeah, that was the debut, 2002, September, at Buckland Community Centre.
Okay, how did you feel that match went? And looking back on it now, what would you have done differently?
I probably wouldn't have done the split leg and landed on my head. The match went well actually, but I was so worried about blowing up. It was an 8-minute match. That's how unfair I was that it was an 8-minute match and I was worried about blowing up. It went well. I was pleased with it. I mean, I'm sure if I saw it now, I don't think I've ever watched it. I've watched any of my matches hardly. I probably wouldn't think the same, but it went well. It was a good little first match and everything. At that time, you've got every single thing you're going to do in your head, and you're trying to remember the whole match. See, these days you sort of go in with you can ad-lib a little bit more, but it was good. Really, a load of us were making our debuts on that day. They all went pretty well. We were all pretty proud of ourselves.
Okay, as you said, a month or two previously, you made your first appearance in front of a crowd in a run-in as the unnamed monster. You ran in against, I believe, Chris Justice and Raj Ghosh. Your thoughts on that?
Thoughts on that? Well, I put baby oil on myself, so I look big and everything, and good under the lights. And I've run in, and first of all, I've run in, slid in, and all before the show, everybody, they were all ribbing me about, don't fall over when you run down to the ring. Because you had to sort of come down the ramp and come round the side and then slide in. And I was actually practicing the run down the ring, run down the ramp and slide in. So that's in my head as I've run out. So I'm like, don't fall over, don't fall over, don't fall over. And I've slid in. And I've grabbed Steve Linsky, who was the ref, to throw him out. And I've gone to throw him out that way. And he's run off this way. So it sort of looked like this. Like that. And he's run off that way. It was sort of a miscommunication a little bit. And after the run-in, I've gotten back and Dave Taylor's bollocking him for it. I was like, yes, fucking wanker. But That was probably my fault. And I've gone to pump handle Chris Justice up, but of course I've got so much baby oil on my shoulders that he slid straight off. And I sort of caught him and pulled him back on and done the move and done the whole raw monster thing and left. But that was, I thought it went over well actually. I was really nervous to be in the locker room because I'd only been like a ring crew before when I'd been on FWA. God, I'd been there almost a year and a half and only ever done ring, and you'd never even been into the locker room or anything. So I was pretty nervous. But it was good. I got a good reaction. They were, you know.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. How do you think the crowd took to you?
Yeah, they reacted well to that. I don't think they knew quite what they were sort of looking at. Something they'd never seen before. Yeah, it was good though because I literally hadn't been seen at all. You know, I was even then I was eager to put in the odd standing moonsault or something. So I didn't, I wanted to obviously show some of that stuff off. Now I hardly do that at all. But yeah, they reacted well to it. It was a good crowd. It was it was a big crowd there. And then I got good reactions after that when I did my run-ins. It started to sort of become a little bit of almost a cult following. They knew a match would get run in on sort of thing. So they started busting out some of the cool moves. I think I got over well with the crowd because I was coming in as a heel, and I couldn't stay heel for too long because the fans were popping for my moves. So they just said, "We'll just pretty much be a heely face thing, weirdo," and that'll be it.
Okay, well, for the next
10 years.
for the next year or so, you would run in, you would make your presence felt often in the opening match on unsuspecting debutants or trainees. What were your thoughts on performing the run-in gimmick for so long? Sure.
Yeah, it was long. Wouldn't have minded having a match somewhere along the line, but no, we'll just wait and wait and wait, and you do the same moves every time, and the crowd aren't going to start turning on you, which they did, and it doesn't make the guys doing the run-ins on look too weak. We kept doing those for a bit. It's like a year almost, and as it turned out, the way I debuted in the match, it couldn't have probably gone better. It really did, and it was good in the end. But I was sort of sitting there, waiting to have a match, basically. But looking back, it was probably booked pretty well there. I was getting a bit tired of the whole running gimmick and everything. One of the best ones I thought was one I absolutely creamed Cammy, and no one really saw that. She was Jack Xavier's valet, and I've gone to do the move, and she's done some weirdo bump off it, and it's how her neck didn't break. I don't know, but it looked cool. And one of my runs was the only time I've ever hit my moonsault off the top, and that was on Hayden Hansen, which I was pleased to do, actually. I wouldn't have minded if it had been harder, really.
Is there any particular reason why you chose Hayden Hansen to do the moonsault on?
Not at the time, no. If it was now, there might be one or two reasons. Fence builder. But at the time, I don't know, maybe he might have had a bit of heat with the management committee. So I think maybe he was chosen to take the move. But actually I was protecting him so much that my knees went down and I hurt my knee doing it. So, but it's not a move I really like to hit on people off the top because I've got control of it. But I just think if I undershot the move and cracked a knee on someone, I'd do them some damage. Spud.
Okay, now a thing that quite a few people will remember, that while you were doing your run-in, your gimmick, there was a wrestler over in the States doing a fairly similar idea with the run-ins, and he had a manager that wasn't too dissimilar to yours. His name was Brock Lesnar.
Oh yeah.
What were your thoughts on that and the similarities between the two of you?
Yeah, what's nice is when, the idea for that, the whole thing had actually been sort of decided before he came in, before they even knew about him. Funny enough, we'd been talking to Alex, who I think had just taken over the had just taken over the FWA. And he said, like, this, you know, this is what we'll probably do with you. I was like, cool. And then Brock Lesnar had debuted or whatever, and it got compared to that. But it's always nice when people write stuff about you on the internet, you know, stuff that you've got no control about and stuff, and then they say personal things and whatever. It's lovely to read those things.
Okay, we'll get to that a little bit later on.
Lovely.
Okay, now during this period, you're performing your run-ins on the FWA main shows, but you're still working the FWA Academy shows simultaneously. So you're hitting these huge moves, yet behind closed doors, as it were. You're creating these technical masterpieces with the likes of James Ty. So what can you tell us about any memories from your matches with James?
Even then, like, they were early matches, and I thought they were like my best matches. It wasn't even like that we knew each other that well, because as I said, we'd wrestled a lot together, but it wasn't like we had always wrestled together. You know, when we trained with a lot of other people, and we used to just go into these matches, and we had all these ideas for stuff, and because we both have good timing, all the stuff just came off really well in our matches. And the stuff with the mat work, you could, because we did know each other in terms of mat work, we would just go in and just wrestle and feel each other out. I shouldn't say that. Feel it all out, and it would just flow so smoothly. And I loved them. I really loved those matches. They were my favourite matches at the time, definitely. It was funny doing these matches, and then people would complain that I was not doing the monster gimmick that I was doing in FWA shows. But what I was doing was learning how to work. So, you know, fuck off.
Okay.
Okay, before we get to your debut match, do you have any memories or any incidents or any matches that particularly stick out in your mind and the lead up to your debut match on the FWA main shows?
Just trying to think of some. They were actually my second match I ever had, which was with Ian Logan, was actually up to that sort of before that debut at Frontier. It was one of my really best matches that I had. We had some really cool stuff in there, and again, he was another guy that could, at the time, he was working well. The other matches, I mean, we just can't think of any that really stood out or anything. Are you hinting at something? Any particular ones?
Well, there was a particular match against Graham Hughes at Crawley in front of a mammoth 40-50 people. Your memories of that match? I know Graham Hughes don't remember much of it.
Well, this is the thing, right? Apparently I did like an enziguri kick, like a step-up kick, and I hit him in the back of the head, and he fell down. And I think when he took the bump, he must have hit his head on the floor, on the mat, and I think he must have knocked himself out. And he came to, and he was all right and everything. But I think on the video it looks like the kick might have. But if you actually see it, I think he's probably still awake when he hits the ground. I think as he hits, he knocks himself out. That also show was infamous for us getting banned from the building for someone stealing biscuits from the vicar's kitchen in the hall that we were in. So we never went back to Crawley, and we were all taken aside at training one week and said, "I need to know who stole the biscuits." And Mark Stone doesn't know this at the time. I didn't actually steal them, and I didn't actually have a clue who had taken these biscuits. But it hadn't occurred to me that when I was out doing a lumberjack match, when I was one of the lumberjacks, Raj Ghosh pulls about 7 or 8 biscuits out of the side of his shorts and offers me one. I remember being told off by Mark afterwards, saying, "You two shouldn't have been eating biscuits out of that." And then he never realised that we were the actual biscuit thieves. It was us. We got you banned from the building.
Okay, moving on
the crowd
quickly.
was so good, we wanted to obviously go back there.
How about the memories of your matchup against Ian Logan at Larendod Wells?
It was good, that. did a nice match, and I think at one point I've got him in the corner and being fairly green and new and everything. I thought, what should I do? I'll just do a hurricane runner on him. So I've gone to do a hurricane runner, and I don't think he quite expected me, A, to be so heavy, B, to actually have to catch me, and C, take a bump. So he's just sort of dropped me on my head, and it hurt a little bit. And he beat me in that match. Actually, I didn't go through the next round. But yeah, that was a hell of a match. Wasn't one of my better matches at all. And that actually, from that trip, I think I remember, if I remember correctly, that was a trip where James Ty was in the passenger seat next to me when I was driving, and he woke up and I was asleep, doing about 70 miles an hour down the motorway. So that was a nice experience. I of course claimed I wasn't asleep and I was just resting my eyes, but yeah, it was a good time, that.
Okay, from here we move on to your debut match, main show debut at Frontiers of Honour, where you took on the somewhat
rotund,
inexperienced team of Double Dragon, Roger Ghosh and Ross Jordan. What were your thoughts in the lead up to the match?
Those are the times when Raj was less than a size 40 waist as well. The lead up, it was just, we'd done the whole build up with fighting, get me and Hampton Court, and Duke of Danger had broken his arm in Cleethorpes. Someone had kicked him. I can't remember who that was. No. And broken his arm. And so we did the whole substitute guys coming in, and we basically put the match together. And actually wasn't at all. I don't get nervous before matches at all or anything. I wasn't nervous at all before the match or anything. We had our stuff together. It was only afterwards Alex said to me, he said, "Oh, did you realise how much pressure you had going into that match?" I was like, "Yeah, thanks." But I was confident because we'd run through. We were cool with it all, and I was with Ross and Raj, who knew exactly what they were doing in there. They're both much more experienced than me, and they bumped their asses off in that match. You know, you remembered everything. I remembered everything. It just all came together really well. And it couldn't have gone better really for what we had there. I was really pleased with it. It went really well. The dive, the infamous dive to the outside over the turnbuckle was just. Before the match, I said to him when we do the setup here, just you two go to the corner and I'll dive. You see, you dive over the turnbuckle. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it because you done it before. I'm like, yeah, I've done it before. Yeah, like, no. And I just did it, and it was fear that carried me over. And yeah, we did. It went well. I was pleased that it got a great write up, and the guys at Ring of Honor liked it and stuff. And yeah.
Did you have any discussion with the guys from Ring of Honor about possibly making a debut in the States?
At the time, I was obviously really interested at the time to go to Ring of Honor and everything. And I didn't actually talk to them myself directly and everything, but apparently stuff was said, etc. So at the time I was like really, I was quite hopeful for maybe getting a shot out there or something coming of it. Yeah.
Well, what conversations were had? What did you understand about the deal, and why it didn't happen?
It just they liked me. They said, "No, he's green, but he's we like him." I probably wouldn't have fitted in there if I'd have gone and done what I do every day when I'm wrestling. I'd fit in fine there, and wrestle. But going and doing that gimmick, I think the fans there, they'd be so quick to turn. I just don't think they'd accept me there really at all. I don't think they'd accept me doing that gimmick there, doing that monster gimmick and stuff. I don't think a lot of the time if you're not one of their own, you're in trouble. And they obviously accept it. A lot of guys have gone in there and done well and stuff, but not. I mean, for the sake of a while after, I was obviously interested in going. As we were all big fans of Ring of Honor and all that. We all wanted to go there and stuff. But soon I I couldn't actually. I've said to so many people I wasn't really interested in going out there at all. I decided then, you know, obviously we'll probably get onto all this after, but I decided that I wanted to go to WWF at the time. And if something wasn't going to help me get there, there was no point in me doing it. You know, it was my job as well. You know, I was starting to take a lot of the bookings, starting to work less and do more wrestling. So I couldn't see how it was going to help me. I wasn't a fan of. I didn't really want to work these amazingly put together matches with all this stuff to them. You know, I'm not someone that's got this amazing memory to remember so much stuff like that. I wanted to work basic matches, but just nice, well put together matches, and just that was it. You know, I got people saying, you know, I started to tone down a lot of what I was doing because that's what I was interested in doing. And you know, people say to me, "You can do anything wrong or whatever," but I wasn't interested in doing it. They never came to me, by the way. They weren't. So maybe if they had, I might have been more interested.
Okay, shortly after Frontiers of Honor, if memory serves me correctly, you took a booking in Germany. You took advantage of someone pulling out and took the booking at quite short notice. So how was that?
Well, the booking in Germany wasn't someone pulling out. They booked me. I pulled out once and someone took my place. But the booking in Germany just came about through someone, just the promotion out there, having seen my stuff, and then going out there and having probably the worst match I've ever had in my life. My debut match, right, my first ever wrestling match at the end of the weekend camp against Andy Coyne, or what's his work name? I can't remember his work name, but yeah, Andy Coyne was probably better than that. They put me in, right, a 3-on-1 squash elimination ladder match against 3 guys that between them had probably had about 2 weeks training, if that, and it was horrible. I ended up getting hurt. I cut my chest up when it was painful. I got a pretty painful for me to talk about this. I got a "don't come back" chant from them. So this, you know, the new rookie coming through and he gets a "don't come back" chant from the fucking arsehole German fans. So, yeah, that could have gone better. It really could have gone better, that match. So maybe that was a bit of bad booking. You know, that's sort of a lesson that when you're booking a show, you should sort of have an idea what wrestling is. You know, and so I went back there. I went back for that promotion quite a few times, and every time I got a "you're shit, don't come back" chant. I caused a riot with the fans, and during one of my matches, they had about 10 fans removed because they were trying to get to the ring and kill me. Oh, and they were throwing coins at me as well. That was nice. Yeah, good place to be. Especially with the fans, and everybody's always going, "It's so great, all the fans are all around the ring," right? You're literally on the ropes and there's fans there, and they've got their beer pints on the mat, which is so safe. You know, it's really safe. I mean, there's me with aspirations of WWF, but I could fall on a pint glass and end up with it in my face. So, you know, it was particularly nice. Mat wrestling was a joy there with glasses on the mat. Yes, I really enjoyed it there. Nice dingy rock club. Lovely it was. And actually, once I got my deal with WWE, they asked me to do a show, you know, just after, all good and everything, and then contacted me about a week before and said I was too much. And it wasn't because of this and that, it was because they didn't have a space for me on the show. So thanks a lot.
Okay, shortly after returning to Germany, still working for the FWA Academy at this point, you decided to branch out and take some further bookings for All Star Promotions.
All Star Promotions, yeah. I've been really eager to get out, start working for them, and about probably 10 months before I'd gone and like contacted a few little promotions and stuff, like, and Mark who was training me had found out, and we had a good talk about it. He said, and he was always very frank with me. He said, you know, you're not ready. And I was like, I'm ready. There's all these guys out there working, and I'm someone that's very much, you need to work. You need to work and work and work and work to improve. You know, you can train and train and train, but you need to work. But his thing was, they only ever get one first impression of you. Now, my first impression at Frontiers of Honour, that was the first impression, you know, of me in a match, and it came off well, you know, for someone's debut match. And he said, you know, if you go into one of these locker rooms and stuff, and you're not able to do the job, you know, and you know, whatever, he said, they will get you, you know, that you will not, you know, you'll get, people get that first impression of you, and it's really hard to shake it. And I believe in that completely, because you get a first impression of someone, I see, and they're like, no, they're good, you know, they can go. That's fine. But when you know, if I'd have gone in there like not ready, you know, like a year before, I would not be where, you know, I wouldn't have had people like Frank Cullen wanting to like help me. You know, they'd have just looked and thought, you know, it's a joke. So I waited about January of 2003. Yeah, and I was in the gym. I was in the gym with Hayde Vanson, and because we train in the same gym, so we live near each other. We were training, and he was doing an all-star show up in Telford. Oh, and this is a funny story I've got for this. And this is the one time I've seen Doug Williams mad. Okay, and so yeah, and we were just chatting. He said, "Yeah, I'm doing the show tomorrow. You know, come along." And I was like, oh, okay, you know, you get on in the rumble. I'll ring Brian and whatever, and he'd run Brian or whatever, and we'd do all that. And we decided I was going along to the show, and we got to the show, and I'll tell a story that happened before in a minute. And I got there and introduced myself and everything, and I was just sitting there just talking to a couple of lads, and Frank Cullen called me over and said, oh, hi, blah, blah, and he'd seen me on the wrestling channel, he'd seen the Frontiers of Honour match and everything, and obviously, you know, he'd say, well, he's okay, I guess. And they put me in a tag match, myself and Julio Torres versus Kid Cool and Dean to Extreme. It came off all right. I mean, it was okay, but like I'm at the time to that thing, I was pretty clueless. But it was fine and everything. You're in with like Julio, who's like been wrestling like 16 years or something. I think he's about 60 now. He's been around a while, so it was good. You know, he was sort of leading me through it. And then Dave said that was fine, that was cool. And then the next day, he asked me to do Croydon the next day, and I tagged with Doug Williams against Robbie Brookside and Frankie Sloan. And I experienced the Frankie Sloan slap in that match, which is always nice. And I was dead nervous because they were putting this match together, and I'm like, I'm completely like clueless. And that went off all right, and then I started working from, you know, a few times a week from there. And I just, the improvement was each time I was just more and more, and then I was doing matches where it was myself and Cowboy Mike Hughes, who's a very good big Canadian, against it'd be Chris Hero and Nigel McGuinness, and we'd just do this match everywhere, with me and Mike Hughes being the Americans and Chris Hero and Nigel McGuinness being the English guys. So it was odd. And I was, and then I was on with Chris a lot of times, and then I'd be on with other guy, I'd be on with Julio and people like that. And Brian would then, he put me on, I do say sort of 5 or 6 nights for him, and he put me on with a different guy each night, and it was just, I was just gaining so much experience from it, and I was getting so much more confidence wrestling all these guys, and it was just, I just improved and improved and improved and improved. And it went from there, and I mean, before long I was full time, and you know, and when all this sort of thing, all the douchebags on forums, on this sort of thing, say, oh, can you put a match together, can you wrestle? It's like, well, I wrestle like 5-6 times a week. You know, some of the times you're wrestling up to sort of 12, 13, 14 matches a week. Of course I can wrestle, ask anybody that's doing that. But the story, when we went to Telford, right, I'm with Hayde, who we travel a lot together. I say travel, I drive. And non-drivers they don't really understand how long it takes to get to places, and how just saying we're meeting on the M1 isn't really enough instructions to tell me where we're actually meeting, you know. And also just oh no. And so anyway, I'm meeting in Kingston to pick him up to go to the meet, and where it was in a meet we know very well now, and we know it very well now, and so I pick him up. We've got about 45 minutes to get there. That's fine. M1, where is it? It's like what? It's probably about 2 miles from Guildford or something. No, it's not. It's along the M25. It's quite far away. So we're driving along, and we're already a bit late. 10, 15 minutes to meet him and everything. Driving along, ring him and just say, oh yeah, we're on our way. We'll be there in like 10 minutes, sort of thing. Where are you? We're at junction 15 of the M25 or junction 13 or something. He's like, right. So he's starting to maybe get a little bit agitated. Then as we go on to the M1, being completely clueless, we go about to go on to the M1, you can get M1 North, M1 South. So we have to, just before we go on it, we ring Doug again and say, do we want M1 South or M1 North? And he's like, you're only on the M1. And we're like, no, we're about to get on the M1. We'll be there in 5 minutes. He goes, no, you won't. So we're driving along some more, and where the meet was, it was at some hotel or something. So we've driven off the motorway and off this way, and we've sat outside. I think it was like a travel lodge. We're waiting there for about 15 minutes. And we're like, where are they? We're like, I think they've gone. Oh, they wouldn't have left us. No, they wouldn't have left us. So we're like, I'll give him a call. Ring Doug up, and he's like, where are you? We're like, we're at the travel lodge. He's like, I'm at the Travel Inn. So we've just looked at each other and gone, oh shit. And he's gone, and he's said some things that weren't very nice. And we've then driven to where we were meant to go, and we've got to go round a roundabout. Now this roundabout is right on the corner where the place we were meeting them were. Bearing in mind we're now an hour late, and it's round a roundabout, and so, but the roundabout goes off that way and back onto the M1. So we've driven round thinking that the way to get into the meet is round the roundabout, and literally as I've gone round, I've aged ahead of me going, oh shit, and I'm going back up onto the M1, and I've said to him, hey, we're back on the M1. And we're like, let's keep going. just don't bother with Telford. Just tell him, or Hanley, or wherever it was. We'll just go. Let's just keep going home. So anyway, we've speeded up to the next junction, turned around and come back. Got out of the car. We got there, and there's Johnny sitting there, Doug sitting there, and we were, and he was fairly red, and fairly pissed. And I won't say any more, but it was one of the scariest moments of my life. Yeah, I'm not really very late for meets anymore. I learnt my lesson there. I'm always right on time. And yeah, that sort of taught me my lesson there. Don't ever rely on Hayde for directions.
What was it like around this sort of time, facing off against some of the top talent from the UK, and also at this sort of time from abroad? How did that go? Any memories at this time?
Matches went okay. I mean, I was still learning a lot then, so I enjoyed them. I wrestled, some of the American. I mean, I enjoyed my matches with Chris Hero, because he had us on a lot together, and we'd do like a 20-minute 20-minute timed match, or we'd do a rounds match, or a 2 out of 3 falls match and stuff. We did lots of stuff together. I enjoyed wrestling him, but I mean, I was still learning a lot of stuff. But I could see myself improving. I think they could see me improving. Always when I went on with a lot of the real veteran guys, I found I was learning a lot off them. I'd be on with sort of PN News or Drew McDonald or something like that, and I was I was learning a lot off them, of just sort of being standalone and being able to just go in there and just feel out a match and stuff. I was nervous the first time I wrestled Thunder, who's a very big guy. I'd never really wrestled him before. I hadn't really met him briefly, I think, before, and that went together well. But what I was not doing was taking enough against these guys. I was tending just to die and die and die and die and die. So now, I try to obviously try and take a bit more. I made some good matches with people like Mikey Whiplash and then Kid Cool and people like that, and I enjoyed wrestling them because we get a good match put together, and we do these various matches, and they were going well. Like over the summer, actually, I had my best matches I've ever had against Dave Swift, who's one of the Stampeders, and we just had this match. It was good, and the best time we did it, I think it was on the Isle of Man, so it was seen by a lot of people. And he's probably my favourite guy to have faced, actually, because we gelled really well together. He's quite a fairly sizable guy, but again, he's very agile, had some really great mat wrestling and stuff, and again, had the timing, like any of the guys that have been trained from there do. But he was probably my favourite guy to face, I think. And then I had good matches with Brody Steele, who I loved working with. He's big guy, and we could, but agile, went up for everything, always very giving in the ring, and we really had a nice match together, and it got over really well with the fans, especially in the camps. I was there, British baby face, all this sort of thing. So it was a good match we had going. We took that match to Japan, actually. Well, it was nice.
Okay, how did you adapt to life on the road as a full-time professional wrestler? Tell us a bit about how you found it and any memories.
When I first doing it, I was thinking, God, how am I going to get workouts in and stuff? And you just find places to go. Wherever you are, you'll find a gym, and obviously you go to places and people know where the gyms are. Like when you go to certain Butlins, there's a gym near, and you go there, and you just learn to sort of, your money you're not making a huge amount, so you're having to be quite careful with your money, and obviously having to feed yourself, while you're there. And it was fairly easy to adapt, but I'm quite a homey person. I like to be home. If I can get home, I'll get home. I'm not someone that can stay out, live out of a bag or something. So when I can, I like to get home. So that for me is, I enjoy it, and I love it. The thing about that is you're hanging with all the guys, and you're not always going to get on with everybody, and you don't always get on with the guys that you usually get on with, but you have a good time, and the thing about doing that is that, if someone's got a problem, you usually sort out the problem, and that's it. So, there's never anything sort of brewing, there's never real issues or anything.
Who were your main travelling partners?
Well, I say travelling partners, but if sitting next to you in the passenger seat asleep counts, then Hayde Ransom. But Julio Torres, we'd always share driving. What we'd usually do, Julio Torres, who else? I think, yeah, just whoever you'd sort of jump in the car with. But I travelled, you always have someone different in the car and stuff, but often, because certain guys coming from a certain area, myself, Hayde, Julio, we'd meet Mal Mason. And it would always be a race to get into the back of Mal Mason's car. Julio never, ever realised when we were getting in the car that me and Hayde were running to get in the back seat, because if you got in the back seat, you could just put your head down and basically fall asleep. And he'd always turn around and go, "Hey, when are you dickheads sit in the front?" We'd be like, yeah, right, whatever. And he'd always have to sit in the front. And we travelled with Mal a lot, which was good fun. And we'd just be taking the piss the whole time. But yeah, they're mainly the guys I travelled with.
Okay, what was the worst thing about being on the road almost every day?
Worst thing? Oh, actually, also, but when I became office in All Star, I was travelling with Brian Dixon a lot. Myself, Kid Cool, and Brian Dixon. That was our car. Yeah, we discussed things. What was the question?
What were some of the worst things about being on the road nearly 7 days a week?
You're travelling silly amounts all the time. What did we do one day? You'd literally get up, get in the car, drive, get to the show, and do a show, and then get in the car and drive again. You'd be you travel from what did we do one day? Minehead to Gravesend, then Gravesend back up to Skegness or something like that, and that'd be in one day, and you'd be three in the back, and they're not small, the guys you're in with and stuff, and it would be being squashed in a car, and you sort of, as you're on the road like that, you learn to, you need to wash stuff as you go. So you always, everywhere you went, you'd always be a washing machine. So you wash your stuff, dry your stuff quickly, you know, while the show's on. So it was like, you know, you'd have someone always doing laundry at a wrestling show. But that was the thing, just being squashed up in a car. But I mean, it was such a laugh though. So you were usually okay. It's just when you were tired that it was hard. And getting food late at night, it's the worst country for that ever.
Okay, around about this sort of time you started taking bookings in Italy. Tell us a bit about that and how that came.
I thought you were going to say taking something else Italy. Italy is good fun. I first went out there with, I think, was it James and Andy? James, Ty and Andy Simmons. And yeah, it's good. They treat you nice out there. They're nice. They're really good people. I've always enjoyed going to Italy, and really good crowds. You get sort of 1,500 people into an arena, and they are, you know, and they know who the baby faces are. They know who the heels, and they go for. I'm always a baby face in Italy, and they do well on pictures as well. James, Ty, and Andy Simmons don't do very well on pictures, unfortunately. Not as well as me. But yeah, I've always enjoyed going to Italy. Yeah, treat you well.
How did you find the matches there, and in particular the ring, on your first trip over there?
Well, the ring was interesting because if you ran across it, you actually got bounced out the other side of the other side of the ring. It was literally, it wasn't soft, but it was like a trampoline, and it was pretty dodgy. And I actually told them how to fix the ring, and they did, and they fixed it in the end. But well, the first time I went to Italy, I remember now, I'd hurt my ankle and my knee with tomfoolery one night, and I'd got this booking in Italy, and I said to them, you know, I've really injured myself and everything, but I'm walking again. They said, you know, still come. And I did a match with Andy Simmons, lovely match, and it didn't help that the ring, every time you put your leg in, you'd like sink. It would sort of bounce up, so that didn't help my knee at all. But I did this match with Andy Simmons, and you know, I said, you know, we'll put in a bit of time and everything, and we'll do that. You know, so I'm not going to do too much. You know, obviously my knee's bad, and don't whip me across the ring or anything. Or, you know, we'll do this and that. And he's like, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. And he's like, yeah. And as usual, it being an Andy Simmons match, 4 minutes into the match, let's go home. It's like, well, firstly, these people have brought you all the way out to Italy to do a match, and you're doing 2 minutes for them, literally. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, about 15 minutes later, I let him go home. So I'm there, I'm the injured one, but there's old, there's Mr. Fitness UK 2003 there, and by the end, he's like red in the face. It's like mentally puking up and everything. And he still had to go and wrestle another match. So that was fun, and it was actually that trip was interesting for the fact that at one point, myself and Andy Simmons are literally they're all setting up the ring and all the chairs, and we're sitting there on these chairs, and the booker, or the two bookers, and bearing in mind Italians are quite hot-blooded, and there's one of them, he's the commentator for FWA TV in Italy, so I think he thinks he works for WWE. And then they start arguing in Spanish, obviously not Italian, and they're going back and forth, and then suddenly they just start swinging at each other and literally just punching each other in the face, kicking each other, and us two being the peacemakers that we are, just sat there and laughed and watched it for about 2 minutes, sitting there like this. And that's Italy, really. That doesn't happen in England. They just threaten each other, I think, and stuff. So, yeah, it was good fun. But Italy's good fun. I love going to. I went recently. I did two weekends in a row in Italy, and it was great fun. We really are lovely people. They're nice.
Okay, I might be wrong on this, but did the commentator not start speaking to you in English in a match whilst you were wrestling? Was that your match?
think it was Andy Simmons' match, and I think there was an issue with something with his entrance or something. Something they'd planned or something. And this chap, Michaela, who actually I've always he's always been nice to me, but he said something wrong or something like that. So Andy and James have come back, and obviously Andy, being the grizzled veteran that he is, has bawled this guy out in front of everybody, and they've had an argument, all this sort of thing. And the guy's gone out. I think it was the interval. And this guy's always like immaculately dressed. He's always got these lovely suits and everything. And actually, we've been at shows before. He's got his own dressing room. So that's got some interesting stories. So what James and Andy have done, they've got in his jacket, and I think what have they done? I think they put it in the shower, and then they've stuffed it like in this, like, imagine at school tops of lockers, right, that have been like there for like 15 years, all dust and crud and shit and just horrible. And they've gotten this guy's jacket, which is wet, and just rolled it all through it, and then they've stuffed it in a locker. And the guys come back to the locker room, and those two are just sitting there like this. And he's come back into the locker, and he's just taken out his jacket and gone, and it's like unrolled and just gone just shit all over it. And he's like, and walked out again. Those two didn't work in Italy again. I don't think Andy's been back since for some reason. Can't see why. Yeah.
Okay, how did the Italian fans react to you from your from your first match out there all the way through until your final time competing, obviously in Italy?
Good. They've always been quite popular, the fans there. I've always, as I said, I've always worked babyface there, and they all really buy into it as well. We did one show out there, and it was in one of those arenas where you come up through a tunnel like they do in the football matches. And I've come out, and I've just heard like the crowd just loud. I'm like, and I turned around, and there's literally like 1,000 people behind me, all standing up and that sort of thing. And what they'll do, I mean, if you make them react, they'll react. So if you show out in some way or something, they'll react to it, with the clapping and everything. So they've always reacted really well to me. I mean, they've always been really good, and as I said, they've always been really eager with the pictures and the autographs and everything.
Okay, shortly after that, you decided to take a week-long tour of Algeria, correct?
Algeria, yes.
Well, so if you could just tell us a little bit about that and how it came about.
It was for a French promotion, to CW, I think it's called, and it was they contacted 5 Star Flash, I believe, about working this tour. And what it was for Algerian television, like 3 shows, and he recommended me for it, and they contacted me, and we put it all together, and basically ended up going out there. We flew to France, and then flew to Holland to France to Algeria, something like that, and then obviously on the way back the same. And we worked in the biggest arena you've ever seen. It's like the biggest arena in Algeria, and it was me and 5 Star in the main event of the first night. And because Algeria is actually Africa, I thought it was more Europe before that, but they apparently in Africa they don't really stick to times, and they had a kickboxing show on before the wrestling, and no one had seen wrestling out there before, so it was quite good. And I think the kickboxing started at like 7:30, and me and 5 Star didn't go on till midnight. It was in a kickboxing ring which was about 25 foot by 25 foot. It was massive, and it was like wrestling on concrete. It was that hard. It was the hardest ring I've ever been in. It's horrible. And it was like boiling hot, and like before the show, he must have drunk about six big bottles of water. It was so hot there, and to top it all off, I had a judgy tummy as well. So there I am on live Algerian television, because it was going out live even at midnight. I wasn't at all worried about the match, but I was wishing I hadn't only brought trunks to wear. And the match came off all right, and I was okay. And then we did another show, I think at the same venue at the time. And then the last show, we were staying in a really nice hotel, and the last show was actually at the hotel the night before we came back. And we did the show and everything. And then we went to like a pool party at the hotel, and myself and Five Star are sitting there, and this waiter just keeps bringing us drinks and more drinks and more drinks, and this is great. He obviously knows who we are, we're the wrestlers. Because when we'd be around the pool, we'd everybody would know, obviously, because we're there, the wrestlers, so all the little kids would be coming, which was nice for about 5 minutes when you're sunbathing, and suddenly there's dripping on you because some little kid is standing over you, just looking at you, and then he starts talking French to you, and you're saying to him, I don't understand, and he doesn't obviously understand you, so he keeps talking, and that goes on and on like that, and then you're in the swimming pool, and there's 15 kids jumping on you. That's fun. Anyway, yeah, so we're at the pool party, and this waiter just keeps bringing us drinks, and I'm like, we're in here, this is cool, this is really good. Gets to about 4 a.m, and it's literally just me and Five Star left, and the waiter, as he's bringing us drinks, he keeps saying, I love you, not to me, I may add, and we're thinking, he loves the wrestling, he watched the wrestling, obviously loves the wrestling. So as we go to leave, we go to walk out, and we walk past the waiter, and he's sitting with this girl, and we're like, oh, night, sort of thing, and he starts chatting to Five Star, and he's like chatting, and he's saying, what room number are you? To Five Star. Five Star just sort of takes a second, sort of looks at me and goes, he's like, oh no, I don't know my room number, don't know my room. This goes, I love you. And this waiter, as it turned out, had taken quite a shine to our Mark. And I said to him, I'll just leave you here, I'll let you two get on with it, pretty much. But I don't think he took him up on his offer. And then we had like about 2 hours sleep and had to get the flight out the next morning, and we were feeling bad. And I think someone was kind enough to take a picture and then post it on the UK fan forum, just saying, with me looking particularly dodgy. But we had we'd made like the Algerian newspaper and everything, and while we were there, it was cool because we were like sort of minor celebs out there at the time, being the wrestling, and we had armed bodyguards the whole time we were there. Everywhere you went, you had like these personal bodyguards, and they had guns on them and everything. It was brilliant. They let you play with them and stuff. It was really cool. And they play with the guns. We were out there. Who else was on that? It was Aries from Swiss Money Holding, Steve Douglas, and there's just a load of other, like Red Devil from Italy, and there's quite a mix of guys, and it was really good fun. We had a really good time out there. They treated us really nicely. We drank a lot of beer, got a good tan, it was a real good time. They just treated us really nicely, really well organised and everything. The only thing was, it was weird going around. You go around in this bus, and everywhere you went, everybody in the street would stop and look, because it obviously had catch wrestling on the side, but it was so poor, and we thought, God, we're out here getting paid and everything, and it really, I'm someone who always notices that sort of thing, and it is so poor out there. I never like seeing that when you're there making money and stuff, and they're there sort of buying tickets and stuff just to see you wrestle, and just sort of brings it home a bit sad. But what was I going to say? Yeah, it was just, we enjoyed it. It was good fun. I had a story like that, and I can't think what it was. No, I've lost it. I've lost it completely. No.
Okay, shortly after this, you accepted a tour for WZW up in Newcastle. Can you give us just your thoughts, a few memories of the tour, and any of the matches you had?
No, not the matches. The matches are fine. I'll go into the matches in a minute. I had a match with Iceman, where he had me take off his shoes. Right, it was a hardcore match, and I put a bag of tacks of thumbtacks, we're not in America, drawing pins, on the ring, and had me pick him up and dump him foot first onto the tacks. I've done that and everything, and I'm like, gee, man, this guy's crazy. And then he's still got his shoes off, and I've whipped him across the ring and forgotten that he's got no shoes on. And he's literally, he's gone right across, he's like, as if he's running on hot coals. I've walked across in my boots, sorry, forgot about that. And then in that match, they actually told us halfway through the match, you can't do your finish. So I was like, could have told us that before. But the match came off really well, I was really pleased, and he took a hell of a beating. And yeah. So one of the photographers, I think it was a girl, one of the girls who was just ringside, for one of the photographers who worked for the company, and I've got a brush in my hand, a big long broom, I've got Iceman there, and I've whacked him with this broom, and of course the end of the broom's flown off and smacked this girl right on the head, like really caught her. I was like, boing, and she's gone down like a sack of shit. I've looked at her and I'm like this. On with the match, and she was alright apparently. And then also in that match, I've thrown a chair or kicked a chair across the ring, and it's because it slid on the drawing pins. It's just flown across the ring, shot out the other side, and just hit the barrier. If the barrier wasn't there, this old guy would have had a chair right in his face and everything. And then after the match, I'm out doing the autographs and stuff, and I think I'm standing with Alex or someone like that, and this huge dude with a skinhead comes walking up to me, and I'm like, oh shit, because I saw like a few of the kids were a bit upset by the match, and I thought, oh no, here we go, Alex, protect me. And he'd gone. This guy comes up, and I'm like, oh shit. And he's like, oh, alright, where are you guys going tonight? We're like, what are we doing? We're going to find a club. And he's like, oh, come to this club. I'm the head bouncer, you get in for free. So we've all gone out to this club, walked straight in, all the drinks, everything. It's brilliant, it's cool. So that's how you get on in wrestling. People let you into clubs free. And that was a particularly memorable trip home for me. I was travelling, and we bonded well over this, myself and Phil Powers and Erin Angel. The three of us in Phil's van and Jake Roberts. And that was the time when Phil apparently beat Jake Roberts up. Now, we're on this trip back, and he'd had quite a bit to drink, and I obviously won't go into too much detail with it, but it wasn't the nicest experience I've had within wrestling. I'll say that. But obviously, he didn't touch him or anything like that. But it was not a nice way to spend 8 hours in a van at all. But that was that was really good fun. I really enjoyed that. It was again, when you go and work for these guys, and they just treat you nice, and they look after you well, and you don't have to have, we're not all, no one's prima donna at all. They don't need nice things, but you get there and everything's organised. And it was Gary Graham, and he's got a good setup there. He's some good guys. We had a really good 3 days. We really enjoyed it. When you're anywhere where you get to go out afterwards and stuff and just have a decent time. And they had good crowds as well. We really enjoyed it.
That was a show which had around several thousand people. And what was the match there?
I was in a tag match. Got the Nastras boys in it, and it was just an easy peasy tag, everything. And that was a nice place. In a big drill hall, perfect venue, really really nice place, and it was good coming out because it was a big crowd. And the next day we were in the hotel round, which is a lovely hotel. We did a matinee show and an evening show, and the evening show was me and Iceman, and then the matinee show was myself and James Tivus, Mark Sloan and Aviv, and it was a nice match, and it was good because there's Mark, the sort of probably got more experience than any of us in there together, and who forgets the finish, and who has to get clotheslined out and then sorry back in and all this sort of thing, and, it was good, but yeah, it went off right, and the next day was somewhere else, just a 2-on-1 match. Went okay. then I travelled home. It was nice. And I had teaching practice the next morning, so I got in at like 3 o'clock from 3 days on a tour, and then I had to be in school at 8 o'clock or something, which was not a nice experience.
Okay, shortly after this, you featured on FWA TV on the wrestling channel. What was it like having your career featured on a national stage? How did this affect your career?
Not really. I mean, it was cool having it on and everything, but you get very used to it being on and stuff. And obviously, when when it started airing things on the wrestling channel, you watch it and stuff, but you get sort of a bit sick of watching wrestling constantly, so you watch very little of it. But it didn't particularly affect me at all, having it on TV at all. Not enough people probably saw it to have affected you. If it had been on terrestrial TV, obviously it would have been a bigger thing, obviously. But more people would have seen it and stuff. But hopefully they'll get to that at some point. It had no real effect on me at all. Was this around the Frontiers of Honor? Have we done Frontiers of Honor yet? Or do we get to that? Because I particularly enjoyed that.
From there, you wrestled at an IWP show at the IWP in Hull, and you wrestled in a match for the IWP title against Doug Williams and the Zebra Kid. Any thoughts or memories from that match?
Ouch. So we're in the ring, right? Me and Doug, and we're in there. We've come out, done the entrances and everything. We're standing there, and then Zebra Kid's come out, and he's got a fucking kendo stick in his hand. And we've just looked at each other and gone, what the fuck's he going on? And I had no idea he was going to actually bring it out with him. And I'm like thinking, oh no, this is going to hurt. And I think I was the first to get my hands on it and use it. And I soon got it back to me from him. People were going on like it was a really good match. And I watched it and I thought we could have done a hell of a lot better with it. But when we told it was a three-way, I wanted to do it and just literally just go in and just wrestle and just feel it out and not go in and have everything contrived. And that's what we did. We had very little that we talked about and stuff, and just went in there. And obviously you're with Doug and Roy, who are so much more experienced than me and everything. And obviously they can really, really go. And it just came together quite nicely. I think it looked a hell of a lot better live than it did on DVD, because I watched the DVD and I was just like, I did a really high dive to the outside there, and I don't know, it was nice, and hurt my back doing that. Thanks, guys. And let me think what else in that match. Yeah, the kendo stick shots. I'd never been hit by one before. Jesus, it hurt. At one point, I'm being hit, right? And this shows what a gutless weasel I am. I've been hit once, I've been hit again, and I've thought to myself, I think I've probably said it out loud, I've gone, God, please go hit Doug. Go hit Doug. And I've seen him getting up, and I'm like, it's Doug over there, and he's gone over, and I'm like, Jesus. And I've just heard him getting hit, and I'm like, oh, thank God for that. Thank God he's getting hit, because they hurt so much. There was a good reaction to that match, I think, and yeah, it was alright. But again, when I watched the DVD back, about 6 months later, I couldn't see what the fuss was about at all with it. It wasn't anything. It was just it probably came across a lot better live than it did on tape.
Okay, just to backtrack very quickly, do you have any memories of Uprising 1, your run-in against the New Breed?
New Breed. I was pumped for that. There's this one bit in it though where I have to catch a crossbody and I have to jump onto my knee, and when I practiced it with him, I just kept stumbling, and I was like, I'm going to stumble, and I was going, no, you're going to do it fine. And I stumbled on it, of course, in the match, and nearly went arse over tit. I was worried about the bump through the table, because I was worried about really dropping him on his neck or something, but I was worried about hurting myself as well, because it was like a bump arse bump to the outside and everything. And since I've taken obviously much worse bumps, and it was fine, but it got me over good with the fans, I think, because it looked killer. And I was like in full monster mode in that stage and stuff. But yeah, it got me over well. That did.
Okay, tracking back to Uprising 2, and a match made memorable by another big bump. Did you?
Yeah.
Get your hands finally on Simmons and the Duke?
Yeah, Simmons broke my nose. I've just gone through the table and I'm getting up, and he's come and he's fucking thumped me, and he's caught me with his elbow, and my nose has just gone like that. Like, thanks a lot, Simmons. The table bump was, I'd said about doing it. I said, okay, because if you're going to do a thing to take me down, it's got to be something big. And originally it was going to be just a complete flip bump over the turnbuckle through the table. And I'm like, oh, you can't take that. And Alex is like, we're talking about it. Oh, you can't take that bump. You can't take that bump. And I'm like, oh, don't worry, I won't flip bump on it. And then as I've taken the bump, I've just naturally flip bumped, and it was fine. But I think I popped a rib doing that, which was pain. I had awful pain for the next month or so on that, and I was resting the next day as well. I remember it was horrible. But what was it? I've gone up to do it, and I'm expecting the thing, and as I've gone up, I've just said to myself, "You idiot, what are you doing?" And as I felt him on me, I thought, "Oh shit!" And I've gone over and taken the bump, and it was fine. But I mean, I wouldn't do it now. Obviously, I wouldn't do anything like that now, because it could have gone very wrong. Because I hit the barrier on the way through as well. And it's that situation, that's when you catch your arm, or you just bust your arm up or something, it's never going to be the same again, or, with those particularly good quality barriers that the FWA use, there's often bits of wire sticking out, which is also nice, if you bring your hand down on it or something. But, it was that match went pretty well. The big spot of getting Buttercup's bum shown obviously went well. At the start of the match.
Okay, the day after that, you wrestled in your first singles matchup against Doug Williams for Premier Promotions.
Yeah.
That was up in Cheshire, yeah. How did that match go? And any memories?
Well, it went pretty well for my first one with him and stuff. Also, I was going to be quite nervous because that was the first time I'd been in with him and stuff. And Mark was nice enough to say to me, "If you don't have a good match with Doug, you don't have a good match with anybody." I was like, "Yeah, cheers, thanks for that." But it went off all right. We had, after that, had much better matches together and stuff. I got into the whole working a lot more and stuff. I still then wasn't working regularly enough, and but I think he was happy enough with it. That made me. I love working like those kinds of matches. Though that's what what I'll do is just working for Premier, and when I work for All Star and stuff, it's just that more sort of British stuff, the mat-based stuff, and not doing the monster stuff. I hated doing it. I hated doing the monster gimmick thing because I am not a monster, and I hated doing it. I did not want to do it at all. It was if I couldn't, I wanted to wrestle. I didn't want to go in and do like a typical lots of moves or sort of match, but I just wanted to wrestle. I didn't want to do the monster thing. I didn't feel right standing there like a big guy just like that. So it was quite a relief to be able to start doing these matches. And, it was alright, that match.
Okay, from there you were in the Premier Promotions heavyweight tournament matchup.
It was good. John Fremantle, who runs Premier, he was like a big mark for me in Doug's matches and stuff, so we must have done about 6 of them at one time, just at Worthing or something, and each time it was, we'd go like 6 rounds or something, so we'd do like 30 minutes, and they were good matches. It was hard hitting, they were hard matches. And I think in that tournament we might have gotten 1 fall each or something. I think it was a draw or something, and then it was myself and Ricky Knight. I'd met Ricky before a few times. I'd never worked with him at all. I always found him to be real. He was good, nice guy. He was quite nice to me and stuff. And I went in and he said, we'll just go in and do it, and it was great. It was a different match, and crowd were into it, big. They really bought it all. And I think it was some sort of DQ finish or something, I think, where I didn't make the count or something because of something or other. And that was the first time I worked Ricky and stuff, and I enjoyed that. I came out of that sort of, I think that showed quite a bit of confidence because I'd sort of worked those two different types of matches against two guys, you know, in Ricky and Doug, and I sort of felt I'd moved on quite a bit. I always enjoyed working at Worthing. It's my favourite place to be. It's always a good crowd, always a hot crowd, and they appreciate you just going in and wrestling and stuff. You know, it's completely different from anything now that's around, I think. And you're in the same locker room. You know, you've got people like Mal Sanders and Steve Gray and all those guys. I'm not like I didn't watch a lot of that sort of stuff, but you can appreciate who they are and what they've done and stuff. So I'm not gonna they're great and everything, but you know, you're in with these guys that are legit. It's just nice to do it.
Okay, in between further tours with All-Star Promotions, you managed to get yourself booked in Japan. How did that come about? And you know,
Japan. It was this new start-up promotion. It's this Wrestle A project, which is they're trying to basically they're getting bigger and bigger each show and everything. They're going to be the sort of company using a lot of foreign talent, and they wanted to sort of start building up a heavyweight division. And Joe Legend was was booking all the foreign guys and everything. And I met Joe and stuff, and we were working All Star together and stuff. And it just came about that he recommended me as a heavyweight, and which, you know, was like, oh, wow. So it was in October. I went out there, and I wrestled Brody Steele. And on their show, it was in the Corrigan Hall and everything. It was like really. We went out there and we just treated unbelievably well. It was just treated so well. It was just I can't explain how well you're treated out there. And it was just a really, really, really great experience going out there. I hadn't been someone that was saying, oh, I want to go to Japan. You know, everybody who was in an interview says, yeah, my ambition is to go to Japan. It wasn't something like, I'd go there. You know, great. But it was really great when I was there. And you know, the staff there, everybody working, you know, with you and everything. Had a good crew of guys. He had at the time he had on it Highlander Rob McKay, who's he's actually Scottish, but he's a Stampede guy. Excuse me for that. And he had Joe on it, myself, Brody Steele, PM News, P.D. Williams, Alex Shelley, Jack Evans, Teddy Hart, and I mean, and then the next time I went out in December this year, and it was I wrestled Rob McKay this time, and it was a really, really good show again. And again, we were treated really well. We were out there for something like 8 days, myself and Johnny Storm, and we just had an amazing time out there. It's the things with like the fans, they're just so respectful, and they're like afterwards. They're just so respectful. They bring you lots of photos they've taken of you, and just hand you these photos, always in these little plastic covers and stuff. And it's just they're just lovely people. Just a really nice place. Tokyo is just an amazing place. And I was quite, you know, knowing that I probably wouldn't be going back to Japan for quite a while. When I was last out there, I was a bit. I knew I was gonna miss it, definitely.
Yeah, how did you find it out there? Was it a bit of a culture shock, or, you know, obviously?
It wasn't a shock at all. I mean, but it's completely different. The way you're treated is just, people are so polite, and just you know, Tokyo's like the busiest place I've ever been. You go there at 1 o'clock in the morning, it's like heaving with people. Everybody like stares at you and everything because you're there. A, you're like you're not from Japan. B, you're big, and C, they know you're one of the wrestlers. You're in town to wrestle or something. So if he's talk, you know, they will look at you and everything, and they'll come up to you and everything. It's good, but it is a shock, definitely. But I would love to go there now, having been there. You know, but as I said before, I hadn't had any desire to really go there. Now, having been there, I would jump at the chance to do longer, to do extended tours there.
Okay, what were the conditions like when you're out there? You said you were out there for around 8 days, so what was it like there during your stay? How many shows did you work?
Just go out there and do the we're trying to build the company up, and I think the next tour might be May, and it's 3 shows. But yeah, come off and do these one-off big shows. I mean, they had like a lot of the top indie guys on these shows, or TNA guys and stuff, and the rest of the time, you know, you're taken out. They take you out for lunch, dinner, and you do not put your hand in your pocket at all, anything like that. You just completely looked after, just everything, you know, from breakfast to when you go to bed, everything's done for you literally. And they're just nice people. The office really know how to look after you. You know, there's not anything they won't do for you. But I'm fairly low maintenance. I just sort of chill out and, you know, get in the gym, and then, you know, you eat nice food and have a few drinks. It's good.
Are there any particular stories which spring to mind from Japan?
From Japan? No. Johnny and I had a nice time out there when we were there, and yeah, it's just it was a nice place.
Okay, following your extended tour in Japan, you took a plane home, if memory serves me correctly, and competed soon after, a couple of days after, for the FWA Academy in the illustrious Buckland Community Centre. Obviously, quite a drop from Karakuen Hall. So, how did it compare working on a very different level stage?
Oh, it's the same. What, the academy in? I don't know. Just
Well, no, just the difference of working, you know, sort of a major arena, and then coming back and working kind of, well, the bare basics in front of a small crowd, and you know.
So I mean, it's the same what you're doing in there and stuff in the ring, but you know, you're out in Japan and stuff, and you're in the ring, and they are reacting to you, like, because you know you've been brought in, you're one of the gaijin or foreign guys, and it's just the reaction to you is just brilliant. Whether you're a heel or face. The first time I worked there, I was working Brody Steele, and he was this big heel out there, but they cheered him and everything. They cheered me as well. But you know, because they don't see that at all. They don't see these big guys going at it, and what they want you to do out there, they just want you to work hard. You know, they're not looking at you to do long matches. They said to us, "Oh, you do less time but harder." I'd be like, right, we'll do 2 minutes then. Yeah, it was. I think the first time I got back from Japan, I actually got into Heathrow at 3:30 or something, and then I was in Worthing by 7:30. I think I had a John Fremantle show the first time, and I worked Dave Taylor that night, and that was the first time I'd worked him. And that was good. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. And I was tired though. I was jet lagged, and then I was working every night for the next sort of 8 days, because then I did Darren Walsh's and Robbie Brookside shows up north for EWP. EPW, European Wrestling Promotions, EPW, EWP.
Yeah. So how was that? You were in some very good company.
Yeah, we they were good shows. They just just doing the whole way the show is put together, just the basics, just going in and having good. I mean, the roster was myself, Robbie Brookside, Thunder, Kendo Kashin, Dave Taylor, Doug Williams, Johnny Kidd, Christian Eckstein, Drew McDonald. I worked one match, I can't remember where it was, but it's apparently it's a town in northern England, but it's a Scottish town. There's obviously a lot of Scottish people there. And I worked Drew McDonald, and I worked babyface, and he worked heel, and it came off good. It was interesting. When they first said, "Oh, you're working heel tonight against Drew," I'm like, "Okay, fair enough." And I worked Kendo Kashin. Actually, that's for Premier Promotions the day before, I think, and I've never seen it. It was nice. I think it was a nice match. He works just Britishy type style, and it was the first time I was in there, and how I imagined it, where you're not able to talk to someone too much, and you just go in and you're just feeling each other out and stuff. I would have liked to have worked Robbie on those shows once, and I had a nice match against Thunder on the last night. The last night was in some town near Burnley, and it was just hard hitting, really hard hitting. and they were good shows. I think they did all right. Got good crowds each time. I think they're looking to do them again. You got someone like Christian Eckstein as well, just helping all. I mean, he's a switched on guy. I worked him as well. Some nice chops off him. And yeah, I mean, just trying to think what else, but it was they were good fun shows to do.
New Frontiers, you and Andy Simmons. Yeah, you and the Butler.
Yeah, I said for like my last match in the FWA had been me against Simmons and Duke, right? And we'd done this big build-up, all this sort of thing. And then I'm told in February, when we come back, blah, 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 you're tagging with Simmons. And I'm saying, why? But, you know, there's just no point to it, you know. And I said, I don't want to do this match. I kept saying it. You know, there's no... He said, you won't let me show out, you won't let me work the crowd, you won't let me do this, and you just want me to be this faceless monster, you just want me to be doing this. So I'm just going to stand on the ring apron. Which is basically what I did. And we did the match, we were fine, you know, with George and Stevie. It was all fine. And then we've done that match, and I'm like, you know, what was the point? What did that actually gain? That didn't help anyway. It didn't help George, didn't help Stevie. It probably helped Simmons. But what it did do, it made I had to stand there and do nothing. And then come in and do that. And I obviously wasn't pleased from that night. And at the time I was still doing the ring on the shows. And we've been told for months and months and shows, we're going to get a ring crew. You know, you guys shouldn't be coming out after the show. Example, James Ty at British Uprising 2, who was main eventing against Doug Williams, who had to first of all set up the ring, then go do a press conference in front of all the fans with all this skanky clothes on that he's been setting up the ring in, and then as soon as he finished his match in the main event at the biggest British show at the time, he's got to then come out and do the ring when there's still fans hanging around, everything. Didn't really make sense, and I'm the big monster, etc., blah, 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 but I'm there doing the ring. And I never, ever had a problem ever doing a ring job at all. But it sort of went against the whole thing of being told to be professional and carry yourselves like this, etc. And I'm not having a go here, but this is just how it was. So we did this show, and we're doing New Frontiers, and like this, we had like a lighting rig to take down. The ring is a nightmare of a ring to take down anyway. Barriers, everything. It's just like we were left there particularly, and basically, and as I'd always said, the guys that were doing the ring were the ones who were being punished by doing the ring because they were the guys that trained or were training at the time or that were at the school, and so you know they were the mugs basically. And I got to the point where I said, I'm doing it tonight. I said, this is it. I'm not ever doing it again. I'm not doing it. You know, this is completely taking the piss. I was on the phone to Dino, you know, and you know obviously Alex, when he's doing it, has about a million things to do anyway, so it wasn't him. Anyway, I've gotten to the show the next day, which was the Enfield show, and I've been told you're going to be doing a 2-on-1 match, squash match. Fine, okay, it's against Tex Benedict and some other chap. And I know Tex, I've seen him work, he's good. And I get there, and I'm like, oh, right, Tex, so what are we doing, you know? And he's going, oh, I think, well, the chap we're with, we go and find him, and we go, okay, right, so what do we do? He goes, oh, I'm wrestling tonight. And I'm like, yeah, you're in the 2-on-1. And he's like, oh, Alex just said, you know, maybe bring my gear because I might have a match. And I've gone, right, so I'm here and I've been built up and blah, 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 and we're a new company, you know, we're New Frontiers and we're a whole great, all this sort of thing. But you haven't even bothered to tell the person that I'm wrestling that he's actually wrestling me. Probably haven't even seen him wrestle, so, you know, that's going to help me. So me and Tex have gone and done this match, whatever, and I've just said to them afterwards, and FW, I've said, I'm done. I said, treat me like, you know, you put no thought into anything, you put no thought into how it affected me last night doing that tag match, you know, how the whole, you know, I'm not someone that's like, oh, my character, all this sort of thing, but it just killed it, because I had to stand on the ring apron and do nothing, when I should have been in there just kicking the crap out of them all. And I had to tag with Simmons, who I was feuding with, and then I've gotten to the show, and the guy I'm wrestling, which is not his fault at all, he's just not been actually told he's wrestling. So much thought has been put into my match that the guy I'm meant to be wrestling doesn't know he's meant to be wrestling me. And so, another issue was that I've got to stop squashing people in these matches because I'm looking like a bully. I'm not going to be a babyface because I'm in with smaller guys who are bumping their asses off for me, but I'm not in there with anybody, big that at least I'm not looking like I'm just going in with a little guy and just bullying him and beating him in 5 minutes. And so, and I said to Alex at the time, I said, I've got no problem with you at all. I've just got the whole way this is being done. It's all shabby. You're just saying about being professional this side, and then it's not there. And there were other things and stuff. Obviously, I'm not going to go into that at all. I'm not. But I just sort of said, well, I'm done. And I think they probably took it pretty much as, look at ego boy and everything. And I don't think I worked the next few shows or something. It was a few months before I came back in. I can't remember when I came back in or something. It wasn't a case of, oh, we'll let you back, or me saying I'm coming back, because I couldn't have said that at all. It was just a case of back in, bygones be bygones. I can't remember what it was that brought me in. I can't remember. It was something, but yeah, I was pissed at the time because I was, at that time as well, I was the one that had gone out and worked to get myself better, and I was getting nothing for it at all, and it was just pissing me off, basically. It really was. But it all got, we always have our run-ins and stuff with everybody, but that's the way it was. So New Frontiers wasn't a nice time for me within the FWA.
Okay, following this, you went back onto the All-Star circuit, working various shows up and down the country, and from there, the next big show of note was Uprising 3, Coventry SkyDome, in a tag team match with yourself, Paul Travell and Terry Funk, going in against Drew McDonnell, Raj Ghosh and Thunder. Your thoughts leading up to the match and of the match itself?
Yeah, we just... not too much, that's what I wanted to be. I just knew it would just be a brawl in there with Thunder and Drew and obviously Terry Funk, and so I knew it would just be a brawl. We wouldn't need to sort of put too much together or anything. I was looking forward to that, because obviously what had happened the weeks before, I wasn't up for doing anything too risky, and I just knew it would be a different kind of match on the card as well. And at the time, I mean, the lead up to the match, the build of the match, there were lots of issues with people in the match that, in putting it together and putting stuff in, and that a lot of us didn't really want to put the stuff in, so that didn't happen, and that's all, whatever. But we just went in and just brawled, and it fell apart quite a bit. I felt at the time during the match, I was like, oh, this is going to be terrible. I was saying to Thunder, man, fucking hell, this is not good. At one point we've gone to leave. We're brawling. We're like, oh, let's get out of here. And we've just gone to leave. But then it sort of went to the finish, and we did it there. But it came across better on TV than I thought it would. I think they edited it well and everything. But they ruined that whole feud thing with me and Drew. They could have done so much. Oh, I was going anyway, so fine. But before that, when we were told it was going to be a tag match, first I think a 4-man and then a 6-man, we were like, why? Why had they wasted with me and Drew, the whole thing of him costing me the tag titles, that sort of thing? Why have they sort of wasted us having a one-on-one match? And obviously there were reasons they did it. I think they wanted to move them on to other things, but looking at it, the match came off alright, and obviously it was came together well in the end.
Obviously this is something that we'll discuss in greater detail a bit later, but around this time you received your tryout with the WWE. How did you feel the fans reacted to you when you entered the arena?
When what their sort of reaction is my music and everything. It's sort of nice. Yeah, I mean, it was, I wasn't, I don't know how to really put it. I was just, well, yeah, I'm not really sort of a big fan of the reaction or the way a lot of the fans at FWA shows act or react and stuff. I just think it's very, I don't really know how to put it, but it's just if it had gone either way for me, I would have been like, well, whatever. I wasn't too bothered, but in the end, they reacted really well and everything. They popped and everything, but as I said, I mean, it's one of those things I haven't really got an opinion on. I was just however they reacted, I'd have been happy, not happy. It wouldn't have really mattered to me. I'm not going to say I was completely blown away and ecstatic or anything, because as I'm walking down the aisleway, some absolute penis in the crowd's gone, "Nice pants," like that. I'm a wrestling show, dickhead. It's just things like that. It's just idiotic comments like that you're like, why are you actually here? And things like that. And that sort of summed it up to me. I was like, well, I'm doing this, and they're all popping, and they're all doing that, but then you've got idiots like that, and just, sometimes it's like that with those fans.
Okay, do you have any memorable road stories you'd care to share with us leading up to this point?
It's just like little things. I mean, there's little things like the chip shop incident. It's just not even one even. It's just the chip shop, and the guys involved will know what the chip shop is.
Care to expand on that?
It just involves myself, Johnny Storm, and Hay Vanson, and that's all it is. And it just was a little argument that, well, it was a little bit of winding up over the space of about 3 days non-stop. It just culminated in something, and it was very funny. But it ended up with someone getting kicked, basically, and that was it. But other stories, we got obviously, there's lots of little things that happen and stuff, but a particularly good one, but it's not funny, and it's not nice. It's actually shows how well FWA treat their lower level wrestlers. And this is even still a bone. I was travelling back from a show yesterday, and this was still a bone of contention within the car with the guys involved. And it was basically it was one of their outbreak tours or outback tours or northern exposure tours. And we had done I think it was Horwich Leisure Centre, Bolton, and we did the show there and everything, and all the crew were together and everything. And what it was is that I think there's meant to be people staying at different people's houses, sort of thing like that. I'm not sure how it went. What actually happened was all of the stars and all of the people that were, I guess within the office, and all the people that were sort of deemed important enough were given hotel rooms, and all of the shit, me included, because I was only doing running gimmick at the time, were just sort of left at the garage gym, which literally is a garage with like a corrugated shed with a ring in it, in the middle. I think it was March, so it wasn't warm, and it was up north, which made it even colder. We're left there just to sleep. That was it. I think there's about, how many of us were there? 6. And bearing in mind that other people within this were people like Buttercup, so you obviously treat people like that well. And with the people that were involved, it became quite an issue, because everybody else had been catered for because they were deemed important enough, and the ones that weren't were just sort of left. And funny how things turn around, don't they? And so yeah, we ended up, we stayed there for like about half an hour. We were like, fuck this, I'm not staying here. So we went off and found a travel lodge and paid for it ourselves. And because we weren't going to stay, I mean, the people that were staying in the thing were perfectly nice and everything, but I wasn't going to, having been doing these matches for sort of 3 days and then go and stay in a shed in the middle of March, with nothing to sleep on or anything like that. I wasn't sort of prepared to do that. And one of the other people that was involved ended up getting a hell of a lot of heat because of that, because he dared to even say that this wasn't on and this wasn't right. He was told that he was meant to be paying his dues and everything, even though he'd been wrestling about 4 years already. So yeah, that was a bit of an issue really, but it sort of brought home to me what it can be like. And I was told, but if you work for All Star, you get 10 guys sharing a room. Never happened when I worked for All Star once ever. I was always looked after very nicely there. So that was how well we're treated when we're not deemed important enough.
Okay, you made an appearance on the Bagpipe Report for the Wrestling Channel. Your thoughts on that? You could just tell us how it came about.
That was Greg Lambert contacted me and said they just wanted to get me on the next show. Obviously by then the deal had leaked out and everything. And I just said, yeah, that's cool. I can do that. And I got on a plane and we went to Dublin and filmed it. And it's weird because you go there and it's a tiny little. If you ever watch the Bagpipe Report, it doesn't seem as small. It's a tiny little room with just literally the desk there and everything that's set up, and that's it. And you just film it in one go. You just straight off, and you have no idea what the questions are. You're not going to redo a question or anything. So all your answers are just. It's hard. I find that hard because you're talking to the camera and everything. And you're like, okay, what was that? And you're being so careful of what you say. I had to be particularly careful because the whole thing with the deal, we couldn't really mention the other company, we couldn't really mention WWE on it, so we had to talk around it. And I mean, Blake Norton, he was fine, he was really good about everything. He was a nice guy. I got on with him, and Sean Herbert as well, who runs the Wrestling Channel. He took me out, we went for a nice lunch, had a little look around, had a couple of drinks, and then jumped back on the plane that night. And it was a good day actually. But the interview came off well. I was surprised at how posh I was on it. I couldn't believe it. Until you hear yourself speak, you never realise how posh or how you sound and everything. But I thought the interview came over well and everything. I just want any sort of interview I do like that, I just want to come across as having half a brain and just being well spoken and everything. I think it did. I enjoyed it. So I'll do a little dance between.
Okay, who's been your favourite opponent to wrestle? Or if you could pick one match to show people what you're about, which match would you pick?
I mean, my favourite opponent probably, my best matches have been Dave Swift, who's Canadian, who comes over for All Star. We've done like a load of matches, and they've been good. They've been good matches. My matches with James Ty, I don't think I've ever had the sort of really, through no fault of him or anything, but I haven't quite had that match that I've wanted to have with him. But I think I will have that match before I go to the States. Definitely. He's always been a favourite opponent of mine. Different guys, I've liked working big guys where I can be the smaller guy. Like when I've worked Brody Steele, I really enjoy that because he moves well. He goes up for everything, and he's a big guy. He's like 6'8", legit, 22 stone. He's a big guy, but you can still wrestle with him and still let you wrestle with him. I think who else? I've enjoyed wrestling. I mean, I've always enjoyed wrestling Raj Ghosh. Who else is there? My match with Alex Shane that I only wrestled Alex once, and I thought the match went really well. We were both really pleased, and he obviously gets all that stick and everything, but he can go in there. It's funny me saying that, having like so much less experience than him saying that, but I knew he could, and we went in and we really it really came together really well. I really enjoyed that match. That was one of my best matches, I think. I really loved that. I generally like working with more sizable guys anyway, because I find with the smaller guys I'm sort of more standing there ready for a move, taking them, being a base sort of thing, and I'm always going to look awkward with a smaller guy running around me. So even with a big guy, you can work a lot harder with each other and stuff. So I particularly enjoy wrestling the bigger guys.
Okay, yeah, about that. Moving on to Gold Rush, and your against Alex Shane. Your last appearance at a FWA show for now.
My last appearance for a month or so.
And
I'll be back by Uprising.
At the end of the show, your send-off from the Brooksbourne crowd. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, it's that I see. When I said about the send off for Uprising and stuff, I was like aware that it wasn't really going to be my last match and stuff. And I've always liked the Broxbourne crowd. They've always been quite a hot crowd. Like that night, they were quite a funny crowd, weren't they? They were didn't seem to be too into the matches. But they're usually a really good crowd, and it's more intimate. It's more of sort of a confined space that you can really see everybody. Where at Coventry you couldn't, and it had that more of a much bigger feel about it at Coventry. So, although it was nice to get the reaction at Coventry, it wasn't the same as getting it at Broxbourne, and that was definitely going to be my last match for a while in FWA. So it did mean a lot more, and I had more of a match. The whole wrestling in the main event and wrestling Alex and the match that people probably wanted to see and stuff. It meant a lot more, and I mean that send off for me was a nice send off, and it really, I'm not saying I didn't ever not like the FWA fans. I just always found something a bit funny, and it was a good send off, and I did, I signed a lot of autographs afterwards, and everybody was like, good luck, very proud of you, good luck, everything, and it was nice to sort of get that from people. It really was, because often people at FWA shows just ignore me and walk out and just walk straight past me. So I like that, and the match came together really well. I mean, he was pleased with it, I was pleased with it. We did, everybody for so long were always like, a big guy can't take the C4 when in theory they can, because Brody Steele took it in Spain, in Japan, and all big guys. Joe Legend takes it, and then Alex took it in front of them, so they were like, wow. They took it and everything, and I came through the match safely as well, because you got that in the back of your head, of not getting hurt and everything if you're going off to somewhere else. And it was a good night, really, really good, and all the boys gave me a good send off as well. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, moving on to what is obviously perhaps the major story of your career so far, your tryout with the WWE. You got a call to come to a taping in Manchester and have a tryout. So can you tell us about how that came about?
It wasn't a tryout, it was just to go and work a dark match, but obviously, that's what some of those things work out to be. I was working, and I just got a call from Drew McDonald, and it was on the Friday, and not the next Monday, but the Monday after, so about 9-10 days away. The Monday and Tuesday they were in Manchester to tape Raw and SmackDown, and Drew had been contacted by someone he knew there to recommend some guys to work some dark matches if possible, I think. And I guess he just was one of the guys that were recommended. Anyway, we went along to that, and basically we're backstage and everything, and met everybody. And on the Monday it was going to be Raw filmed, and basically I wasn't actually needed for a match at all. And the only person that wrestled was Robbie, who wrestled Maven, and so that was basically that day. But we were hanging around all day and stuff, and basically everybody knows Drew, and obviously they all know Robbie as well. But Robbie and Drew, like they all know him, and like literally everybody's coming up to them. We were sitting there at the table having in the catering. You could tell the British guys because they completely take the piss with the catering, because we're just eating constantly and eating. And like Triple H walks up and straight up to Drew. They know him. Stephanie McMahon knows Drew. All of them know Drew and everything. I was sitting there, I was like that every single time. And obviously you got introduced to everybody, and when you're there, they all come up to you and introduce themselves, because I think they must see that you're in a situation where you don't really walking up and saying, "Oh hi," and introduce yourself. So a lot of them, they come up to you and introduce themselves, which I thought was really, really good, really professional. And it was like just a real eye opener backstage, because it was just the amount of people that are just doing things and got jobs and working and doing stuff, and just the how big the whole operation is, the whole setup. It's just amazing. Like when you see the arena empty, I got introduced to William Regal and everything, and he took me off to the locker room to put my gear in and everything. And I'm walking around this corner behind him. I walk around and there's Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels sitting there, and I'm like, I was just, obviously you're trying to keep your head. You're like, Jesus Christ, you know. And straight away Ric Flair's like, hey, no shooters, no shooters. And the British guys were shooters and everything. Introduced ourselves and everything. You know, I met loads of other guys and everything, and that was, you know, a real experience. And I watched the show. I'd not watched any shows live before, and I was just like, wow. I sort of thought to myself, geez, if I could, I'd love to do this. And, you know, no thoughts that it would happen ever at all. And we finished Raw and everything, and I went off. The next day, came back for SmackDown, and that was the day that to really do it, because that's when Dave Finlay was there. Obviously, Drew had been putting me over to like every person we met and everything, so he was like, yeah, blah, 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 talking me up. And I got told to go get my gear on, and because I was going to just do a workout in the ring and everything, and so I went and put on just a pair of baggy shorts and everything, on my gear and everything. And I went in with Charlie Rage, who I think he's trained drop kicks. He's good. Former British amateur champion. He's very WWE says underrated, but he just hasn't been seen by anybody yet. And Johnny Storm had actually talked him up to me before. He'd been in Thailand with him, and I worked with Charlie. And what we do, we basically got in, jumped in the ring, and the whole roster was sitting there watching, which was nice. I wasn't nervous at all. I just jumped and I said to Mr. Finlay, I said, what would you like? He said, just 5 minutes of heel and face. And we just went at it 5 minutes and then did that. And all I literally did was very basic British holds, kept it simple, but kept it really intense and just looked, you know, worked it all. And then finished, he said, thanks. That was that. When I got changed and went and ate a lot of food, because I'd basically, in the week before, I obviously dieted quite a bit, so I'd look good and everything, and I was just eating, and I was walking back into the arena, and Drew McDonald's coming out, he goes, oh, Paul, I'll get your gear back on. I was like, what? They want to have another look at you. I'm like, oh, wow. Then I thought, oh no, some belly's out here by now. And then I went in again, did another few minutes, and this was with the talent scout watching. And other things have been said and everything, but by other people, you know, to Drew McDonald apparently and stuff, but I can't really go into that. And I did the second sort of workout, and then got approached by the talent relations and asked if Ohio Valley Wrestling was something I'd be interested in. I said, yeah. And I said, you know, I'm out to Japan next week. And he said, well, you know, what are you now doing? I said, well, I'm off to Japan next week and everything. And we talked there, and he said, okay, I need to, you know, get this off you, and then we'll speak to me when you come back, etc. And I went from there, and then did all that, and I was just like, wow. And I'd said to Charlie, I said, I'm going to sit in the crowd and watch SmackDown tonight. And I sat in the crowd with him. We were sitting there, and got access to hilarious things. And I just looked around, and I'm like, jeez, this could be me at some point. I was like, wow. And it was quite pleased with myself. And when I got back from Japan, I went and worked for literally sort of 8-9 days straight. I had some John Fremantle shows, and then I had the Roy Brookside and Thunder shows up north. And we finished those, and when I got back, I actually went back to, I drove to my mum's house to use her phone, because in my house I've got I only need a mobile phone, so I didn't want to use my mobile phone to phone the States. And I checked my emails, and I had an email back from someone at WWE Corp saying, received your tape today, extremely impressive, my number is, and I called him, that person, and the conversation happened, everything, and basically after about 2 weeks said, you know, do you want a job? Like, yeah. And just it went basically from there, and it's basically happened, you know, everything's sort of gone on from there with the contracts and everything. But being backstage was a real experience, just meeting everybody and how nice people were, and just everybody come up to you, and how it was quite overwhelming. when you see it, when you think when you're backstage at normal shows, it's cool, but like you're backstage there and like seeing it all happen and seeing promos being cut and everything, it is a real eye opener and stuff. Obviously, there's a lot more details to how it all got put together and what happened with my tryout and who said this and that, but it's not stuff I really want to go into at all. But I was lucky when I did my first tryout, Vince McMahon was watching, which obviously helped my chances quite a bit from what was said after that. And it's just all sort of gone from there. So before, this was in...
You mentioned beforehand that you sat in catering at the WWE event and various people came over to you.
Yeah.
Which stars approached
I mean,
you?
I was sitting there with like Robbie, so he's obviously, he knows Chris Jericho very well, and like Val Venus. I mean, I've been chatting to Val Venus before, and when I got there in the morning and everything, and we were talking about All Star. He worked for All Star a lot, and actually I've been on shows before, and some people that say were watching All Star years ago when Val Venus first broke in, and he was working for All Star Quality. They say a lot of the time, they say, when you come out, you look. It's like looking at this, when I have my short hair, it's like looking at the same guy. It's you look so similar, body wise and everything, and I was shocked also the body size of the guys. They're just in amazing shape. They're just all in such good shape, and the heights and stuff. I mean, guys are big and everything, but when I was standing there, I was like, right, I could probably fit in here, all right. I wouldn't be out of place. And obviously since then, all the stuff with getting it all put together, and obviously it's quite a long process of getting contracts done and getting this and that done and visas and everything. So just before Christmas, a couple of weeks before Christmas, I was in Japan for Christmas actually, I received my contract in the post. And when I got that, I was like, because I'm quite a realist, and if it actually had been down to me, no one would have known that anything had happened, anything had been discussed at all. It would literally, I'd still be, until I'm actually on that plane, people would hardly even know about it. I would have kept it that quiet. But obviously with other people knowing, and it gets out and this and that, and it appeared in the Wrestling Observer before I'd even signed anything, and I was worried about that, and it was quite stressful. I remember Greg Lambert was very good at the time, because he was very sort of supportive in that he made sure stuff stayed off, stuff wasn't mentioned, and I was just so worried that if I looked on the internet, there'd be something else about it, and I just didn't want to get heat from the office because of something someone else had said. So I was trying to just not mention it, and people would say, they'd say about it, and every time I'd say to someone, I'd say, yeah, but nothing's been it's just been discussed, it's nothing, and even when it had been off, when I actually officially got the offer and everything, still then I was like, no, I haven't actually signed anything. And even now, as I sit here, I'm waiting on my visa, which is, I've been talking today to the office and yesterday with them and stuff, and it's all going through nicely and everything, but and as I've said to people, until I'm actually there, I'm not counting my chickens. So it's not really helped, all these farewell matches and all this sort of thing, because it's like, I could be back, soon, or could not go. So, yeah, I got my contract and once I got that, I was like, wow. And you get that and you're like, jeez. And you read through it and you read what money you're getting and everything. It was good.
Okay, looking at the financial side of the deal, obviously not going to go into that, ask you about that. I understand people were worried that you were on insufficient wages.
Yeah, I mean, they've been good. Basically, it's definitely, it's an opportunity, whatever way you look at it, anything, but I was pleased, and, we were, yeah.
The WWE, their talent relations group, their immigration office, have gone to great lengths to obtain you. I mean, this obviously shows they must have plans for you. They must really be after you. Is this comforting in a way?
Yeah, I mean, a lot has gone into getting me there and getting everything done. Even like putting the contracts together. I mean, that's with any guy they're going to sign. There's all that, but they're big. These contracts. There's a lot to it and everything. Like no stone is left unturned. But in the whole thing of acquiring a visa for someone and rushing it through, getting it done quickly and getting all this done and that done and that done, you know, there's a lot there. So they've obviously got some potential there and everything. I mean, I was told the workout I did went well enough to sort of impress the right people, I think. So it's heartening to know that, you know, they're looking at you to work your arse off. They're looking at you, I'm sure, to work hard and everything. You know, my talk with like the officers has been very limited so far, because, you know, it's up to now it's all been in the whole contracts process. It's been putting all that together, so nothing else has too much been discussed or anything. So, and I mean, if I knew, I wouldn't say. I couldn't say anything, but I'm looking forward to going first to Kentucky, you know, to work out of Ohio for any wrestling. But yeah, it is heartening to learn that.
Okay, in OVW, you'll be coached under Lance Storm and Jim Cornette. Your thoughts on that? You looking forward to that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to the whole the promo side of things, the talking and really getting confident talking. Obviously it'll be very English when I'm doing and everything. I'm working with Jim Cornette and Danny Davis. I'm working with Lance Storm. I think he's there at the moment. And there's other guys. Obviously, there's guys that are in and out that pop in and that training the guys. I've been told I've had contact with actually a girl that works with Ohio already. Very nice girl, who has clued me up on a lot of stuff. I think they train about 6 days a week in the ring and everything. Obviously, you're working out every day. Everything you're doing is you're living, you're breathing WWE while you're there. So because you are working for the company. Everything you do is to sort of get yourself ready to work for them. So they're looking. I think they're looking you to go work hard, have a great attitude, everything. And I've got a good attitude, I think, and I've always worked hard when I've been training and stuff. So I think I'll be okay. I get on with people, but I think I get on with people pretty well. So within wrestling, so I'm gonna do alright. But I mean, it's just. I'm not someone that marks out for names, it's like, but it is someone so well respected like Jim Cornette. It's going to be an experience, obviously, and everybody I've spoken to has said you will learn so much off people like that. You literally, without even meaning to, you're learning stuff off these guys. It's going to be an experience.
Alright, are you looking forward to the rigours and changes of lifestyle that a possible call-up to the WWE would bring? And more immediately, you're looking forward to the changes of OVW. You'll be being paid as a professional.
Yeah, I mean,
and training to be a wrestler. Training to refine your wrestling skills.
Training to be a wrestler.
Refine training as a wrestler.
Yeah, it's been like a few months now. What's all been being put together and everything. So I think I've gotten very used to the idea, but I'm still. There's not obviously. You think about it every day, but there's a lot of time. It's everything because I've been waiting to go, this sort of thing. I'm thinking of it, but it's. I don't think it's sunk in. And I was talking to someone that's worked for me. He said you won't understand the magnitude of it at all until you get there. And I said this on the Bagpipe report as well. And I said I've been backstage. I've seen how big. He said no, you get there and you realise that you are an investment for them. You really are. You're there to sort of become something. I mean, the lifestyle. I'm looking forward to going and living there and everything. It's going to be. I was thinking it today. I was just thinking that I'll miss my sisters quite a lot, and my brothers, which is weird because I'm quite close to them and everything, and all my friends. And all my friends within wrestling as well is going to be a thing. But I mean, I'll see people. I will, and I'll get home and stuff. I'm going to have to become a better emailer because I'm the world's worst person to keep in contact with the email. I really am. So I think I'll get a bit better at that. But I've been told, everybody looks out for each other and everything. It's like, you know, anywhere you go with wrestling, you know, everybody's looking out for each other. It's gonna be fine. If I eventually join one of the rosters, that'll be a real strange thing, because I haven't got a clue about getting connections and stuff within the States and rental cars, and so someone's going to need to babysit me quite a bit. But you know, I'm looking forward to it. It's what I've wanted to do, you know, and that's what I'd set my goal on. I'd set my goals as. So,
How have people reacted to the news of a possible signing, as it was at the time? I'm not sure how many people know that you've officially signed on now, but okay.
It's been really good. Really, everybody's been really, you know, congratulatory and pleased for me, I think. I really, you know, it's been great. You know, someone said to me the other day at a show, they said, "Oh, you must get sick with everybody saying good luck." I said, "I don't." I said, "It's great." You know, I genuinely am proud, and I'm genuinely, you know, want to do well. And when people say good luck, I really do take it in. I'm not sort of, "Oh, thanks." You know, I'm just, you know, I'm proud of myself, and I'm proud that, you know, it's worked out. I'm proud of, you know, Mark who trained me, and all the guys that, you know, I've come through with and everything. Everybody's been really, really good, actually. I think people are genuinely pleased and everything, so that's been nice. That's been really good.
Following the news of your signing, many companies in the UK have taken advantage of this, promoting, you know, Burchill's last match. You've had about 8 of them so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
As of taping, you have one final match in the UK, which is against James Ty. Is there anybody in the UK that you'd like to have faced or gone up against, but you haven't?
Flash Barker would have been the one. That was the Flash Barker. Yeah, Flash Barker was one I'd really like to face. I was hoping to go against him when I was working with John Fremantle for Premier. He was super over in Worthing. I used to go and watch. I used to go sit with Dean A.S. and Jane Charles in the crowd and watch the shows. And like the best match I've ever seen live was Flash Barker and Lee Darren versus Zebra Kid and Ricky Knight. That was at Worthing. I was sitting there with Dean A.S. and Jane Charles. We were watching the match. We were sitting there with Richie as well. I used to come. I used to meet them there. It was brilliant. But yeah, Flash Barker would have been one. I've wrestled most people around. I mean, I'm sure there's few. There's like younger guys. Well, yeah. There's got guys that are newer, and there's guys that maybe I'm not thinking of now that I'd like to have wrestled. But as I said earlier, I like to begin with the big guys and solid guys and stuff. And I could have had a good match with Flash Barker. I think definitely. That's pretty much it. I think for the British guys. I mean, there are other guys, but he was the guy that I had always wanted to have a match with.
Okay, if you could select any time period, anywhere, any place, any time in the world, who would your dream opponent be to go up against?
Dream opponent? When I get asked this, I can never think of anybody. I really can't. Dream opponent. God.
Or somebody you're looking forward to facing, should you move up to...
Yeah, it's a strange one actually. Within WWE, it'd be Christian. I'd love, you know, I want to wrestle Christian, I mean, any of the guys. I mean, I'm not answering this question very well, but there's no one I'm particularly. There's no one I don't want to be in with or anything. I'm just looking forward to just the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, I watch Christian work. He's so flawless and everything. He's amazing. But there's various guys and stuff.
Okay.
James Ty would be nice.
Okay, What advice would you give to somebody wanting to get into the business?
Someone that's going to a school, someone that's already training and stuff. I mean, someone said, going to wrestling, you find a school and everything, but you just gotta. I was talking to someone the other day who's actually a wrestler now, but he was saying that he wants to do this and go to Japan and stuff, and I said, you gotta basically. What I did was set goals. Someone getting into the business, get your basics good. I even wish now I'd worked just more on just basics, just making stuff look good. I mean, when we were training, we were being schooled at the academy, it was doing stuff over and over and over. That doesn't look good enough. It doesn't look good enough until it looks good. You get stuff looking perfect. But I'd say someone, what I did was set goals, and I set this long term. The main goal was to get to WWE, and goals before that were things like get my body in really good shape, work this much more, do this, get to here, do that. And I'll say what you got to do is you got to set the goals, set your sort of these short and mid and long term goals. If your goal is to get to Japan, okay, what do they like in Japan? They want big guys if they're from England or from America. So right, I need to get in the gym, I need to get in shape. Okay, what style do they like? They like you to work really snug. Okay, so I need to start working so that my stuff looks really legit, looks really good. And that's what I'd say. It's all about goal setting. I now got to reset mine. And again, it is still to get to WWE to get onto a roster and eventually get there, get over the crowd and everything. So I'm gonna have to set new goals for that. But I had 6 months ago. I said, okay, I'm big, I'm in the right shape, but I need to get in good shape, and I changed my diet. I never ever trained stomach. It was things like that, and I started training and doing that, and so I changed it, and my physique changed, and it looks much better now. So that obviously helped me a lot.
Okay, let's move on to some word association.
I won't be able to think of anything.
As many words as you need. Just the first thing which comes into your mind. We'll start off with British wrestling.
British wrestling, on its way back again.
Okay, FWA.
FWA, getting better and better. Shame to leave it. Push Aviv. Definitely.
Alex Shane.
Alex Shane is good match at Gold Rush with me. We've had a love-hate relationship before, but we're okay. He's been good to me sometimes.
All Star Promotions.
All Star Promotions, the place to get experience, and a great laugh. Good times. I've had some good times with some good guys there. People like Kid Cool and Julio and Frankie Sloan and Mikey Whiplash. People like that. Good people.
Okay, Brian Dixon.
Brian Dixon, good, fair man to me, fair to me. Giving me lots of work. Programmed 2 pounds.
Okay, Premier Promotions.
Old school. Good. Worthing, best place to wrestle.
John Fremantle.
Fremantle. Should have bought more of my pictures to sell. Okay, and what else, John? I'll get you some programs, John Fremantle, if you collect them.
Okay, Flash Barker.
Flash Barker. It's Flash. I was going to say Darby now, but I won't. It's a shame he hurt his knee. I would like to have fought him. Flash Barker. Gave me good advice. Very good advice.
Doug Williams.
Doug Williams. Very nice man. Doesn't get angry apart from when you're very late. Okay, like that.
Okay.
Okay, Drew McDonald.
Drew McDonald. Thank you. He's the guy I owe a lot of getting my deal with. He's helped me out a lot, and he's very gets a odd press from people on the internet and stuff, which is completely wrong. The whole thing of guys like that are actually out to help the guys that want to be helped.
Okay, Thunder.
Thunder, good guy. This is like the Terry Gordy shoot where every single person, he goes, good guy, good guy, good guy. Thunder. Always, I can't ever do headlocks with Thunder because I pull off his mask. That's what I remember.
Okay, James Tye.
James Tye. James Tye. Sometimes when he speaks I cringe because he's like, he'll be saying something to someone and you're like, James, stop saying that, I'm James Tye. And it's like, oh no, because he's not tactful. You're not tactful, James, at all. But he's been a good friend. And I'll see him out on AVW hopefully at some point. He can watch me on TV.
Okay, and lastly, Hayde Vanson.
Hayde Vanson, chip shop. Hayde Vanson. What can I say, really? Hayde, don't let off fire extinguishers in girls' faces in hotels, okay? Because the police get involved.
Okay, moving swiftly on, your hopes and aspirations for the future.
Just always the thing, stay healthy and everything. Hopefully everything goes well with WWE. Hopefully it all works out good for me. In the very short term, the visa all comes through good. Maybe by the time this is out, it will be through and everything. And I just you know, make a good impression there. Hopefully move on from there really. Just everything goes well, and I just keep moving forward.
Okay, and finally, any last words for the fans watching this?
No. Yeah, thanks for buying this video. No, yeah, just I'll be back at some point, probably sooner rather than later.